What's up, Queen and family? Welcome to Black Queens Uncut. Grab your wine, your vape, or whatever you need to relax. I'm Monique Loveless, Queen. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Kiki Boom Boom.
Que pasa? It's TK Trinidad.
And clearly, I was in September's Observance Month. It's National First Love Day, somewhere in September. So we're going to be discussing our first loves, or what we want in our first love. So let's get into it. Have you ever been in love with a significant other? I have.
Yep. I mean, I know last episode I almost cried because I said I've never been in a relationship, but I've definitely been in love.
Okay.
I've been in love before.
I have. Yeah, I didn't want to admit it to myself because I felt like I was like hardcore for a long period of time. But in my first book is kind of based off of my first love. And like I realized just taking out the negative stuff that happened, it was a really great experience. It was a really great learning lesson. And I realized, just looking back, because he's no longer here, he passed away, that like I truly did love him, and he was like my first love.
That's okay. I definitely have. Every relationship has its ups and downs, but it was beautiful. I think that I got lucky. I was a really lucky person. I think that God knew in that moment that I needed exactly this person in my life. And in the episode, I hope I don't get emotional in this episode because y'all, I still have so much love for this man. He is an amazing person. And I mean, I've talked about it throughout. When Spicy came on, we talked about it. When, I've had other episodes like Love Week Special and stuff where I've talked about it. So make sure y'all catch up with those so y'all can see what I'm talking about. But do you feel like falling in love? First of all, when y'all first fell in love, do y'all feel like it was mutual? Was it reciprocated?
Yeah.
Yes. At first, I think for me, like I knew the person had love for me, but I didn't know the person was in love with me. And it's not until years later the person was like, I was in love with you. So, but we had though we weren't in a relationship, we were in this long situationship, but it was we were younger too, in our early 20s. I look back on it, it was a great relationship. And this person to this day is someone who I have so much love for this person. This person has so much love for me. When I was in a bad situation, we weren't even dating and fucking talking to each other. I was able to call this person when I was stuck, and they were like, I got you. You stuck? It's and that's how I was like, yo, this person really has love for me. And to this day, I can call this person. And
so I have this question for you, Kiki. How was y'all in a situationship if y'all loved each other but not a relationship?
You have to ask him that. Because I wanted the relationship. So with us, we literally did the relationship thing. We were together almost every damn day. We were dating. We went on dates. I was very spoiled. Great sex. We did all the things. And I was like, I don't get why we just can't label it. And he would do the the label thing is just he would do that bullshit. And then we got to a situation where I ended it because it got a little weird. We dated for 2 years and we were both kind of doing our thing respectfully, but it got to a point where he started talking to someone who I knew. And I told him, I was like, as much as I love you, I did a Samantha Jones. I love myself more, and I'm not going to be in a situation where you're talking to someone who, this girl may not be my friend, but I fucking know who the girl is, and I'm not competing with no girl over no guy. So that's why I was madly in love. I was depressed when I broke it off. I couldn't fucking eat. I couldn't sleep. But I knew I really fucked with myself when I was able to walk away. And he could not understand that. He could not understand. To this day, he's like, I still can't believe you did that. And I'm like, how do you not believe that? That's weird. And then I think it's because, and two, I allowed the situation to happen. He got so spoiled. I got spoiled and I wanted the relationship. He's like, no, we're Gucci. We loved each other, but he didn't want the label thing because he wanted to be a whore. So I was like, I'm good. And I left that. So I think two things can be true. I think we could still love each other and not be in a relationship.
Yeah. I guess that was towards you specifically, but I will say this. I fell in love early, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, that's puppy love. Like, you don't know what real love is. You can't know what real love is. But even measuring it today in my 30s, we were in love. We were solid, us two. So my first love was, his name was Barrett Grable. Everybody in my hometown knows who he is. I've never said his name. This is the first time I've ever said his name on the show. And he would probably get keeks over this, just me saying his name. But we were together. My grandma had just passed away, and he came into my life. And it was funny because I actually hollered at him. I was like, hey, he came back in town. Somebody was like, oh, we're playing cards at the house that I went to school with. And I was like, oh, this is my chance. I was like, tell him to hit me up. Not really. This was like, you got to go all the way through school. Then you got to go to this card. Are you really going to tell him to hit me up? Like, this is not really going to happen, but whatever. And so the dude came back to school the next day and was like, yo, he said he was going to hit you up. Here's his number. And I was like, oh shit, like you really told you. Oh, like, thank you. But he was in our hometown. I'm starting to realize that he was known for being the bad boy. And they always say like every woman wants the bad boy, but he was never like that to me. He was the only person that my mom liked. My mom don't like nobody. That lady, she don't like nobody. She liked him. She loves him. She even to this day loves him. And he ended up right before we were supposed to leave because we were going to move to Atlanta together. He had bought me a ring. We were going to get married. And I was the type that was very determined. So for me to say I'm going to marry someone was huge because I was like, no, I'm going to be single. I always used to have like, guys that really liked me in our hometown. And I was like, no, I'm going off to Atlanta. I'm going to be a thotty. And that's what it's going to be. But he was always such a great person to me. I was like, that was the first time I knew that I didn't want nothing else. I was like, I don't even care to look at nothing else. I don't want nobody else. There's nobody that could treat me better than this. There's nobody that could treat me like this. And so he got, right before we were supposed to move, days before we were supposed to move to Atlanta together, he got locked up. And he got locked up for 5 years. And he got out 5 years. So I was here by the time he got out. We had talked, wrote all the time. He was very specific with me because, most guys who go in, they'd be like, you want to stick it out with me. He was like, listen, I can't be a man for you in here. Even at a young age, I can't be a man for you in here. And he was like, you need to go out and find what you deserve. I'm not going to hold you back from being with somebody because you deserve to basically have a good person that treats you well. And I thought that was upstanding. And then he got out. And so I was kind of excited because I was like, oh, he's out. I'm in Cali. He can come to Cali. We could still try to make this work. Because we still talked, even though I did my thing in between, try to find somebody else. I just wasn't really feeling it. I was still on him. And then he got locked up again, y'all. So it's 15 years now. And he'll be out when we're about 45. So there are times where I've talked to him. I've been around TK when I've talked to him. And he's still this amazing soul of a person. He just cannot get it together when it comes to crime. So that's my first love story. And I pretty much answered all the questions that I was going to ask in my first love story.
I love that. I appreciate you for sharing that.
Yeah, because everybody has heard about it, but I haven't really broken it down or talking about it. And I don't talk about it with a lot of people. I just let them know exactly, because he's still a part of my heart. He will always have a piece of my heart that I feel like nobody else could ever reach, because I'm not there. I'm not that person anymore. And neither is he. We've both grown in different aspects. And this is why I also think it's really close to me to talk about mental health too, because he is also bipolar. So he deals with manic bipolar. And the funny part is he never even could raise his voice at me. Like, even when we got into arguments, he would kind of laugh and be like, I can't, because he was a bigger dude. He's like, 6'2". He played football, so he was solid, but he was smart too. Like, he got scholarships. He actually got scholarships for playing football, and he got scholarships for his academics. That's the crazy part. And so, it was like God brought out a part of him when he met me that I needed in that moment. And I needed that. And it was special to me. And I believe it was special to him. I mean, we talk about it. And even today, like, if I talk to him, I would ask him and be like, would you think we would still be together today? He was like, of course. Like, of course we would be together today. Like, ride or die, don't matter. And he's always been like that towards me. It's never, I don't know. I've just never had anybody that has treated me like that.
Yeah.
I've had guys treat me really good, but never like that. Never in the aspect where you're just like, well, this person loves you and you can't do anything of them back because they love you so hard that you're like, gosh, like, as much as I want to be hardcore and hate you right now, I can't even do it. So, like, oh, and it's great and stuff.
Well, speaking about great sex and first loves,
And you'll get leeway.
LaJuan offers all of that. If you're single, if you're not single, if you just want to give yourself some love, LaJuan is here to offer that, because it is a woman-founded premium brand, personal vibrating massagers, and we love premium, we love luxury. This is not the ordinary sex toy. It is very beautiful and kind of fancy too. You know what I'm saying? And us queens, we can attest for it, because we do personally have our own. We have a great travel kit, and we have the luxury of having and working with LaJuan, and having Tracy on our last episode, Anal August. So make sure you guys check that out. LaJuan is designed with pleasure in mind for all bodies. All people are welcome. LaJuan embraces and champions intimacy for all versatile pleasure tools that insist on bringing you to the next level. So whether you're single or you're with a partner, you can love up on yourself and have that journey by yourself or with your partner.
Or with your partner. Make sure you go to LaJuanmassager.com so you can get your products.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. So I already answered this. When, where, and how did you meet your first love?
I met mine at college. I met mine in college. My first day of college. Like he was really good. Like now, just reading, like writing it, some parts in my book from that. He was just on top of it. So he had already graduated. He was training for the Olympics, and like I came to college and I was at the track team. Had like 3 bags. I still to this day don't know what I was bringing around in America with me, but he came up, got my bags, and then I don't even know how we but we started talking about church, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my folks, they go to church. We can go to church on Wednesday." And that time I just became saved. So it was just kind of like, oh, for real? I was like, God, you looking out for a sister. Like, let's go. And literally after he took me to church, that was it. We were together ever since, to the point that I had got a room in college. And this was in August, by October, like I was literally paying rent for somewhere I was never at all. Like we were like pretty much inseparable. And he was just, I don't know, it was just something he was my first love. I wasn't allowed to date in high school. So I mean, I did have there was a situation where I had one guy, my mom took me to jail to visit him, which I still to this day can't believe. But nothing to this point. Like he was talking to my mom every time I went home for summer. Like we'd talk on the phone every single day. So it was like a really great relationship. But he had demons that he was battling that I just I didn't realize, because again, I'm coming from a different country. I'm coming from a 2-parent household. His mom was dealing with stuff in Northern California. Like he just came from a different lifestyle. And I just didn't know how to handle those demons, nor was I supposed to. Those are your demons to handle. And that pretty much like in my, like I said in a previous episode, where with friends, it's like ride or die. In my mind, even through that whole period of dealing with his demons, and pretty much he had a drinking problem. He was just dealing with a lot. And in dealing with his demons, I saw some crazy stuff. And I was like, all right, well, we're just going to ride this through. Like, I'm going to go to college. We're going to ride this through. And so at the end, oh, wow.
No. It's okay, girl.
Yeah, it's okay.
Appreciate you for sharing this.
So before I transferred, before I was transferred, I was pregnant and we lost the baby.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm sorry, boo.
We just were both too young to handle it. And so he ended up cheating, and I ended up finding out, and pretty much, thank God I was that good. I had scholarship offers all over the US. And I just felt like that was my time to leave. So that's how I ended up at Oregon. And we stayed in contact throughout, but he was just too far gone. And literally, like I said, we stayed contact. I moved back to Canada, came back, saw him. He was in a relationship, but he always said, like, it's always like you. And the last time I saw him, he convinced me to drive out to Fontana to go and see him. And something told me, like, girl, just go and see him. And at the time I was in a situationship and not a really healthy one. And I wasn't supposed to be seeing people, blah, blah, blah. And I went to see him and he was sick. And, he wanted me to meet, like, he had 3 kids at the time. He wasn't with the girl anymore, but he like wanted me to meet the family, and because everybody still remembered me and stuff like that. And I was just so scared of the situationship that I was in and all this other stuff. And I had working at the radio station and I had tickets to go to this event. And I was like, yo, pull up, I'll give you these tickets for your kids. And he never called back. And I called him a couple times and just never called back. And then there's just something funny about our connection. No matter how we fall off, somebody's always going to inform me about him. So it turns out one of my college friends, who he used to date before we even met, and me and her are friends now because we actually look alike, same background, whatever. She hit me up and she's like, yo, did you hear, like, he passed away? And I was like, no, I literally saw him like a couple months ago. And fortunately at that time, I still was in contact with his uncle and his whole family, hit up his uncle, and he's like, yeah. And so the uncle wanted me to go to the funeral, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Just because there's a whole nother story to that. And ever since then, maybe up until a year or 2 ago, I would see his face all over the place, just walking. And there was this book that I read recently where they say that when people transition over, sometimes they remain here. And so and he's not the first person that's happened with, but like I would tell my homegirl, because we had all went to college together, like it's like, yo, I've seen him like literally walking around. So long story short, that's that. And he's partly the inspiration of the book. And that's it.
I love that. TK, first of all, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know that's a lot. You know, it's hard because we do this podcast and we try to be as open as possible, but it is a lot to open up and to tell our personal lives to audiences that we don't know.
Yeah.
And I give it to us because since season 1, we come on here, we share our stories as best as possible. So I give it to you guys. Like I give it to you. I give it to Monique for sharing those beautiful stories of people who have been in your lives who influence you. Like, I just love that. So I thank you so much for sharing that, because I do think people will listen to this and be able to resonate and be like, you know, and the fact that like, you know, we make fun of you because of the birth season. And I'm like, oh, she's just a Leo. But I think it's so great to know where it comes from. So I thank you two ladies for sharing that.
I definitely love the transparency. And we always say this, we thank you for the transparency.
Yes.
And this is not only for our audience, but, you know, we're getting on here, like you said, Kiki, and spilling our tea so that you can connect with us.
It's a big fly.
In order to have, you know that you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And so we really thank you for your transparency and your, you know, the vulnerable moments.
That's hard.
Those are super important for all of our Queendom family. So we truly do appreciate that and being open. It is hard. It's really hard, guys, for us to be open like this. It's really hard to tell people that you can't see or people that you just don't know your business. It's like,
or like, you know, we got people that we know that listen to this. So this is who I don't think listen. They're like, oh, I listened to the episode. I'll be like, oh shit.
Or
there's like nobody knows that story. In writing the book, in writing I'm coming out with the trilogy, and in writing that book, it was really with everything else that I've been doing, it was really cathartic because I definitely realized how impactful it was. And for a long time, I said, no, I wasn't in love. He was just like my first boyfriend. And I didn't really when I put myself back in the mind of like, I was 18 in a brand new country, like by myself. Like when I put myself in that state of mind, I was like, yeah, there was nothing he could have done, period. And he did some crazy shit. Nobody knows. Oh, well, my therapist knows that story, but other than that, nobody else knows that story. And I literally just told her that recently.
Well, our Queendom family loves you for it. We love you for it. And, you know, I think we've all had teary moments on here. So, you know, we're bringing it to y'all real. Like this is real. It's a community, and we want to continue to make it that. And, you know, when you talk about your first love, it can be very vulnerable, especially if you're not with that person, because I'm the same way. Like I talk about it, but like you said, TK, I have to sometimes separate myself from it, because when you really think about the situation, you're 18. I was 18. I just lost the person that was my life. And I was broken. I was broken in so many pieces. And then to have this, you know, person come along that nobody gets to see this side of him, treat me just with this protective that my grandma did. I felt like that was her. I felt like that was her coming through like, yo, I still got you. And then for that to be snatched away was like I was like, fuck, I can't get a break. At this point, I might as well just keep pushing forward. And, you know, what else am I supposed to do? I was literally packing my bags and crying. My mom was like, are you okay? Are you going to make it through? She was checking on me like every hour. I was like, I'm going to make it. Like, but I was bawling my eyes out. And literally, like, I can't believe that this is happening. I can't believe that I'm having so many traumatic situations happen at so young. So we appreciate that and we thank you for that. Kiki, when, where, how did you meet your first love?
It's funny because I remember when I was like 18, the person that I was dating when I was 18, I thought he was my first love, but he was not. The way I met my first love was in Miami.
You was being a thotty? Was you being a thotty?
Such a twisted story. I was there on like a spring break trip, and next door we had these guys next door to us. So fucking annoying. They were loud. They were annoying. On the other end of the hall, we had a rapper who is like really famous now, but no one knew who he was, and I did because I was like really into hip hop. So I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So we're hanging out with like the rapper guy, and my friends had no idea who he was. And I was like, guys, he's this up and coming rapper, but our next door neighbors were so annoying. So me and my friends were crazy. We were like prank calling them next door, and we were pretending that we were like downstairs, and we would hear them like freak out. And we're like, hey, this is the manager downstairs. And we hear that you guys are being really noisy. So we would hear them, and they're like, oh my God, like someone's calling. So like we like knocked on the door, and we were like, psych, it's us. And then they were like, oh, there's girls next door. And he was like in that room. So he is 2 years younger than me. So at the time we were in our 20s. So I was like, this kid is so young. He's mad annoying. And he was like trying to shoot a shot. And I was trying to ignore him the whole Miami trip. Weirdly, God, I hope they don't listen to this episode. Weirdly, the same trip, as I'm ignoring him, the person who ends up being my first love, I meet this other guy who ends up being one of the toxic relations that I was in. So I was like dating them at the same time. I hope they don't listen to this. But because the toxic relation guy was older, he had money, he was more flashier, I was ignoring him because I thought he was young, he was immature. But he was like, I want to take you on a date. I think you're so pretty. He was like really persistent. So I met him in Miami. Long story short, we ended up kicking it. And I don't want to get too much into the details, but I ended up meeting them both in Miami the same day. And I said to him, I was like, if you're serious about it, here's my number. Text me. I got back to New York.
The guy that you fell in love with.
And he ended up being my first love. The other guy ended up being my toxic love. But the person who is my first love, the first like love of my life is that guy. He ended up being my next door neighbor in Miami. And we're still friends to this day. And
Miami has had some crazy moments. That's why I'm laughing, because anytime I've gone to Miami, it's ended up crazy.
I mean, it's been crazy because I met two people who I ended up being in long-term situationships with. And we just happened to be one happened to be my next door neighbor, and I met someone that night at a club, and I ended up dating them both. One was really toxic, and we went through a lot of shit together, like a lot of bullshit together. And one was the love of my life, like the great love of my life. Like he's that guy. Like I hold him here. The other one was just fucking horrible, devil, evil. He is Lucifer. And
oh my God.
But these two people impacted who I was in my 20s.
Opening up the portal.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But those two people shaped who I was and shaped my love life. And these are two people who I dated for long periods of times. And these are two out of the situations that I was in that I had to say to myself, why am I, though I did love one person, I was just like, this is just really weird and it's bullshit. So met him in Miami, spring break, next door neighbor. And he became
who in y'all's first loves, who said, I love you first?
For mine, it was him.
For mine, it was him. I will never forget. We were sitting at a Kroger parking lot and I had a breakdown because I had just cleared out my grandma's room. And I was like, I can't drive. And I just was like, I need a moment. I really wanted him to get out of the car so I could have my own moment. And I was like, I need a moment. And he just sat there quietly. He didn't say nothing. He didn't touch me, nothing. He just let me have my moment. And then I had to apologize. I was like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, no, he was like, no, like, it is what it is. Like, you don't have to apologize for that. And then we were kind of talking and he started making me laugh and stuff. So I was like laughing. And then he was like, you know, this is hard. And girl, by the way, he's a Sagittarius.
Ooh.
Yes. And so he told me, I actually think his birthday is a day after yours.
Hey, Sagittarius men are special.
I love Sagittarius men, but that's because my Venus is a Sagittarius.
Oh, that's why I'm like, oh,
yeah,
my Venus is in Scorpio.
My Venus is Sagittarius, but he looked over at me because I was finally like got myself together, and he was like, you know, he's like, it's hard to admit this, but I love you, and I was like, and then I started crying again.
Mine told me they love me when we got into a big fight, got in a huge fight, and we were drinking, and this person was like, "I love you," and I was like, "Bitch, what? What? I don't know if he's fucking lying, but it's working." He's like, "No, I love you, I love you." Like, we got to this huge public. It was weird, but I was like, "Oh, okay."
Not him lying. I can't with you.
No, he was telling the truth, but to hear it, I was just like, oh wow. Like, you know, because I knew that like I love this person. I didn't really say it because of my pride. But for him to say, yo, I love you, I fucking love you, I was like, oh, okay. But you don't want to be in a relationship. Cool.
That part.
Right, that part.
Beautiful gowns, but it's okay. We passed it. We're great friends now.
Okay, who said?
I just didn't understand it. So I ended that because I was like, this is weird.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember. Like it was so, and that I think that was like my problem in like moving. I was telling someone this the other day. It's like it just happened. Everything just happened. We met, like we dated, we started living together, like everything just happened very organically and very like natural. It wasn't like we had to have a conversation about, you know, is we were gonna date. Like it just, so I really don't remember who said what, because literally probably we went to church together on the Wednesday, then on the Sunday, and probably within like a week and a half, I was spending nights at his house. And then probably within like a month and a half, I was pretty much there every day.
Yeah.
So like, I don't remember, like, I remember we said it all the time, like a day, even in the midst of like the craziness, a day never went by where like I didn't leave the house for school because he was working at the time. I didn't leave for school that I didn't say it, or when I came in, like it was always, I think this is something that like I saw my parents do. Like you never leave without saying goodbye, or at least showing your affection towards somebody. So for me, that was just it was very like natural. And like this one thing, which I don't think anybody does, this is like, if somebody does this, then I will like, you have everything. He would drop me off at the airport and walk me in. And then when I used to come back from the airport, he used to be there at the airport with flowers. Like you could barely get a ride to the airport these days. So it's just kind of like those type of stuff is just kind of like, and we weren't close. We were in Pomona. So it wasn't even like the valley. He would drive me all the way down there and he would pick me up. And there was never like there was, and I never had to cook. Like I was spoiled. The first two relationships, I was really, really spoiled. When I got the third one, I was like, you want me to do what? Like I have to cook every day? Like what is this? So yeah, I don't remember who said it first, but I do remember it was quick. But everything was just very like, we didn't spend a day apart until I went back home for Christmas.
Yeah. Can y'all see yourself falling in love again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we're still very young, and I love hearing stories about people who are older and they're still falling in love. I hope to fall in love again. I think it's a beautiful thing, but I know I shared this on an episode. I can't wait for like the day where I can get like that full love. Like though my first love said it, I do want the not that it wasn't real love, but I want I'm in a relationship.
A boyfriend.
Yeah, like I want a boyfriend and they show that love and I know they love me and they do the things that they're supposed to do. Like I can't wait for that. So to answer that, I hope I do fall in love again.
Yeah, that's why I keep saying I feel like I got lucky because I did receive that from somebody that you would never, most people would never expect that from. Even people in my hometown was like, nah, he love you. Like they was telling me like, nah, he loves you. And so, you know, I got lucky. So I think what I have to kind of come out of is comparing the two, because I got treated so well in the beginning. It may not look the same.
Yes.
But it needs to look healthy, okay?
That part.
Period, okay? But because life circumstances are different, excuse me, because life circumstances are different, it might look different and I'm expecting it to look a certain way. Which brings me to my next question is, what does being in love look like for you now?
I think it's just an overall understanding, and not quite like, of course, the communication is important, and I don't expect it to be as smooth as it was then. But I feel like when two people are ready, like it's just like how you get into the situationship. You want this, but he's dealing with all this stuff, but he's willing to take what you're willing to give him, opposed to having two people who are legitimately ready, and it just feels a certain way. Like I can't really like explain it, but you just kind of like, you like know, like you know that like you, after a certain point, I guess I don't want to put LA down like that, but especially being in LA, it's just kind of one of those things where dudes are just sometimes just not about like, there's a lot of damaged people out there, especially if you dated a lot. So there's a lot of damaged people dealing with a lot of stuff. So then after a certain point, you just kind of, I'm now kind of seeing the people that like, oh, you gotta work on yourself. Like you can't, like I think Spicy says that these people just want to like touch the hem of your garment because they see that you're shining a certain way and they want a piece of that. And you're like, yeah, you need to, like, we're not even there. We're not even like evenly yoked. So it's like you just kind of know. I think once the dates get more than 5 of them, and it doesn't even feel like dating. It's like now we're just getting to know each other. Like I feel like that's you're on your way to something that could be special.
Right. I feel like what does being in love look like for me now? Honestly, I think being in love looks like, I don't know if I have an answer right now.
I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm open to receiving love and new love. Like I'm gonna keep myself open to it. But I don't know what it looks like for me, but I'm definitely open for it.
You're open to seeing him, you're open to hearing his voice, and you're open to feeling his touch.
Pretty much.
I don't know about all of that.
For love, if you love him, that's what he's supposed to be doing.
I'm
right?
open to it. I'm open to try new things. I'm open to new love. I'm open to it all. I don't know what it looks like for me today, but I definitely like, once I'm there, I would love to be asked that question again. Like, what does it look like for you when you're there?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page. I don't necessarily, and my best friend always says this, he's like, you're always back and forth. I've realized that, you know, lately I've been going out and like, oh, you know, I really want to be in a relationship because I've now decided that I want to be in a relationship. And I'm going to go out and put myself out there. But then I had to sit down with myself like, Mo, are you repelling? You must be repellent right now. And I had to say, you know what? Maybe I'm not really open for a relationship right now because I'm really loving on myself. And it's been such a great thing that I'm kind of like, I'm not sure yet. But I will say that I'm with you, Kiki. I don't know what it may look like for me right now, but when I get to the point to being open to it, or when I see something a little bit different, I think I'll be more open to it because I haven't been impressed yet. Like, I feel like you have to impress me. And that's only And I say that not out of not being humble. I say that because I've been around so many different caliber of men, or I've opened up to I'm like, oh, you're married, so I can open up to you because you're not going to hit on me. And then they hit on me, and it's kind of skewed what I feel. It's kind of skewed what I feel like, what I'm wanting and what I'm getting, because you can automatically see red flags. You can see red flags from a mile away. You like, oh, I was just telling my neighbor that. I'm like, listen, when somebody puts out a red flag that reminds me of my biological dad, hopefully he don't listen to this, but if they put out a red flag that reminds me of my biological dad, I'm automatically like, nope, 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 nope. So I think when I feel it, I feel like I'll be really open to it. I'll be like, okay. Let me let it all the way in. But I don't know what it looks like for me right now. I definitely know it has to be a certain caliber, has to be a man who's confident in himself, what he's doing, what he got going. But communication is, I think, going to be that key opener to be like, okay, we have this communication. We're both on the same page. Okay, we have this label now. Is this love? Are we loving each other? Can we see each other in each other's future? So yeah, I think I'm retweeting you, Kiki, with a little twist.
Retweeting everything you guys said.
With a little twist. Well, that wraps up our first love episode. Make sure you guys comment anywhere we are. Let them know, Queens, where they can find you.
Yes, Drake, when you're ready to like fall in love with me, you can follow me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom. Okay, because I'm tired.
Not Drake.
I mean,
that's too many red flags.
I don't care. That's been my love since 8th grade, since Degrassi. When Drake is ready to stop playing, I'm here. I loved him since Degrassi, since he had curly afro and glasses. Yes, I loved Aubrey, not Drake. Aubrey. I pray when I'm making a life that he never sees us, but I'm kidding. You guys can follow me on all social media at
I'm posting it and I'm at me.
Oh gosh.
Make sure you remember this clip, TK. Cut it out.
Drake it is.
Clip it. I'm posting it and at me.
I mean, you never know.
My
name is Kiki. I'm just saying.
You know he fell in Lizzo's DM, so
listen, and I'm the real Kiki. So Drake, feel free if you're looking for your next love. I'm here. Kidding.
No, you're not. Don't try to cover it up with a kidding. No, you're not.
Well, Drake, make sure to find Kiki. Make that her birthday wish for this year.
She's the real Kiki. Do you love me? Are you crazy?
Oh, he's gonna get a restraining order on me. I'm kidding.
Anyway,
a restraining on the real Kiki. Well, you can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. You can get your cocoa butter from centerin.co. You can watch any fighting type shows on Fight TV. Just Google TK Trinidad. And other than that, you can find me on everything at TK Trinidad.
And you can find me on IG at It's Monique Loveless. Make sure you also check out my website, moniqueloveless.com. Also, come where we are, okay? We are on all social media platforms at Queens Uncut. We are also on YouTube at Black Queens Uncut. And we have our own website at blackqueensuncut.com. So make sure you check us out everywhere. And we drop a new episode every Wednesday. So make sure you turn on those notifications. Okay, Drake. You got a new queen, okay? And also make sure that you catch up on the last episodes last season. We are in 47 countries now, so get in tune with the Queen of Family because we are in what, on all continents except for Antarctica. Oop.
Hey.
Do they have radios in Antarctica?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Well, we need to hit Antarctica too here soon. So make sure y'all check us out. Put on your notifications. We can be found on Spotify, Apple, all across all platforms that podcasts or your music streaming is happening. So we love you, Queendom family, and we'll talk to you or see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Ciao.